Hi everyone, greetings from NSN Hyderabad. We are continuing with our skill talks with experts from various domains in skill development. And today we have with us Mr. Bhaskar Natarajan, who's the head of program execution at Tata STRIVE. We have already had a discussion with Bhaskar earlier on a different aspect in skill development, which had to do with training and training of trainers, being a digital superstar as a trainer. So in this talk today, we will focus on something which is absolutely essential for every training partner to know. And this is about mobilizers. So Bhaskar, welcome to this talk today. We would like
Thank
to
you, Dr. Madhuri. Thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you. So today we would like to learn more from you about mobilizers, the role of mobilizers, and what is the critical contribution that make to the entire skilling ecosystem or the vocational training ecosystem in India. So let me ask you with a very basic question. Who is the mobilizer? How would you define this profile?
Yeah, thank you for this opportunity. A mobilizer in skill development ecosystem, especially in a vocational training institute, where a short-term or medium-term vocational training course is being offered, is someone who goes into the community, be a key influencer in helping youth and their parents with awareness on what kind of career opportunities are out there and what kind of courses would be suitable for them, and how they can benefit by attending a training program which is happening in their training institute. And also they provide the confidence after the course there is a placement, which is inevitable question every youth and their parent would ask, what would I get after the training program? So all of this is job of a mobilizer. And typically when you see, this is a very strategic role. In my view, it is to be renamed as chief impression officer or
Okay.
chief influencing officer, because they are the ones who impress upon youth the need for certification, the
Yeah.
need for skill training. And these are the youth whom they meet, either socially or economically deprived, or may not have done very well in academic environment, who would really benefit by being part of this short-term skilling and get a passport entry into industrial workforce. So the other element comes to my mind when I think of mobilizer is their education qualification. A mobilizer is someone who could be from a social work background, a MSW, or someone who has a bachelor degree in any stream, but having passion to connect with youth and help them in making a career choice. I have interacted in my 2 decades of my experience. I've interacted with various kinds of mobilizers. Some of them have taken up this job because there is no other option available in their locality to suit their need. Some of them have a kind of post graduation under their belt, but still they choose to be a mobilizer. They have very good vocabulary. They speak wonderful English. They make very good presentation. Yet they chose to be a mobilizer, or in a strategic role in mobilization.
Yeah.
It's a wide space here. Lack of talent in tier 2 and tier 3 areas also hit this role, because not many talented people want to work in these locations. So typically a vocational training institute makes good with whatever they get. They advertise for this role. They speak to the individual candidate who applies for this job. Whoever is showing a potential to speak in front of large or gathering, a group of strangers with confidence, they get selected, and based on their performance they grow in the organization.
Okay, I think this is a very clear, description of the role of a mobilizer, the kind of person he or she should be. So, just to summarize few points that you just told us about mobilizers, I think one is the purpose, which is driving them. Like you said, they could be highly qualified on the one end. On the other end, it could be somebody who's just taking it up because they feel this is something they should be doing. And along with this, I think what is another important aspect that you mentioned is the orientation towards, joining a cause, like a social cause, or,
Right.
developing the youth in this case. And like you said, there should also be somebody who are able to speak to a larger audience, like you said, influencer, right? That's a very interesting word, I should say. And I think just to go a little bit deeper into this influencing, I would say, traits, or influencing qualities of a mobilizer. Um, how do you think we can groom them to have these qualities and attributes? Because we know they are playing a very important role, and it is like we should have a huge force of mobilizers, because skilling activities needs a whole lot of them, right? Who can
Yeah,
go to every
absolutely.
nook and corner of the country.
First and foremost quality of a good mobilizer is to have curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
They need to be data centric. At the same time, they need to connect the dots
Mm-hmm.
wherever it is needed. They need to be more humane in their approach, empathetic, anticipate the questions that could come from youth or their parent. Why I keep repeating parent, Madhuri, is in India, career decisions are still
Yes.
taken in consultation with a parent or a guardian. It's not just a youth's decision anymore. So mobilizers have to handle this very carefully. Gender is another area where mobilizers need to be very sensitive to the needs of women candidate,
Mm-hmm.
and what could be their objections to join a training program, what kind of issues they may have in their mind, yet unable to say no. So culturally, one of the big stumbling block mobilizer would face is wherever they go, people are not going to say no to them. They will say yes, tomorrow I will come to center. I will definitely bring my documents for registration. uh, 8 out of 10 times they don't turn up. The kind of enrollment ratio is very skewed. If as a mobilizer I knock 100 doors, only 20 would turn up the next day to visit the center, to have an experience of how a center is it the right place for me to learn for the next 3 months, and would I get a job at the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
So all of this need to be kept in mind. The other aspect is a mobilizer should know how to handle technology,
Mm-hmm.
whether it is a Google Map, whether it is a mobile app like WhatsApp, or Google Form to collect data. So during pandemic, it has become such an important element for a mobilizer to be more digital savvy,
Right.
right? And also a mobilizer should be very transparent with the team that they work with.
Mm-hmm.
Many a times, like in a corporate example, if I take a salesperson, might give hopes to the manager whom they work with. I would close this sale for this month, I will finish the target. However, by end of the month it may not fructify, and if it happens more often, a manager would lose trust with the salesperson. The same scenario would happen in skill development. A mobilizer need to be very transparent on what are the hopes, where enrollments would happen, where conversion would happen with the center manager or anyone whom they report to. This is very critical because the trustworthiness of a mobilizer depends on how well they are able to predict the enrollments,
Mm-hmm.
right? Uh, it all the way it goes up to the head of the organization, because a promise is made to a funder who is paying for that program, whether it
Right.
is a CSR program or a government funded program. That promise is fulfilled by a mobilizer. Imagine the value chain. No one is getting pinched much more than a mobilizer in this entire uh, chain of events. So a mobilizer need to be transparent and upfront on what is possible, what is not possible, based on which all the way up, a center manager, a project manager, head of the region, and the operations head and the CEO, all of them would be able to make right commitments to their funders.
Right.
This is a very critical chain in my view. And to answer your question, partly, many organizations do not give that kind of respect a mobilizer deserves.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a key element on the human side of it. Both the respect angle, have a component of earning the respect as well as giving that respect. Earning the respect from the mobilizer is ability to predict, ability to influence, making sure they're comfortable with digital literacy and equipments and various apps that they can handle, and their ability to convert at the end of the day. They are a team player. They are not on their own. They have to work closely with the trainer in the center. They need
Okay.
to understand after registration, after the classes start, how the girl or a boy is doing in the class. For that, they need to talk to a trainer to understand the behavior of the learner inside the classroom program. And if there is any attendance issue or not able to cope with the syllabus, a mobilizer would again team up with a trainer in talking to a parent and sort out those challenges as well. So in effect, mobilizer is also a change manager.
Right.
His or her responsibility does not end by enrollment into the program, all the way till graduation. And even when they become alumni, mobilizers become an umbilical cord for these learners, because when they go to the same community again, word of mouth marketing of alumni is going to get the enrollments for the new batch that they're launching. So alumni's word of mouth appreciation is very key for a mobilizer to be successful in future as well.
Right.
So this is an end-to-end role that we experience it here, Madhuri.
Yeah. Yeah. So just connected with this, there are two very important points which you were, mentioning, and it just occurred to me to know more about this. One has to do with the convincing power of a mobilizer, but then also setting the right expectations with the
Yes.
parents, especially. So, how do you think this is getting addressed? Let me ask you this first, and the second question after this.
Sure. So in our organization, Tata STRIVE, we have various touch points to ensure this gets triangulated. When I say triangulated, more than one source will give you information, same information, again and again. A mobilizer gives information about a course, what kind of salary they can expect, what kind of job they can expect, and so on. The same information is relayed by a trainer when this candidate comes to center.
Mhm.
And before enrollment, a center manager or a counselor meets them again, and same information is passed on. So when there is a consistency in the same message being passed by different members of the team, uh, the expectation is set well. Second area is not only during enrollment, even after enrollment, we engage parent in our process. We have a parent engagement session where they come into the center. I'm talking about pre-pandemic. They come into the center and all the parents are seated. Some alumni is brought to showcase what would be the end product like. They ask a lot of questions. Migration seemed to be a very important topic of discussion during parent engagement. We prepare them, mentally we prepare them, saying after the course is over, there could be a possibility where your son or daughter could migrate to a different city. Do not worry, we will train them on how to handle migration in a safe manner, so that you don't have to worry about how they would survive in a new place.
Yeah.
So this is the expectation setting part, not only during the process of enrollment, but also during the course of the training.
Okay. Okay, now another important question here is I'm referring to the general training partner ecosystem which is getting formed in India. There is this thing about outsourcing, mobilizing, or
Yeah.
giving it to certain agencies which mobilize people. Can you tell us more about how this works, and how much of it would meet the expectations like you were talking about earlier? Because you said this person is such an important such an important element in the chain of the entire the entire skilling program, that the foundation is laid here actually, right?
Yeah.
If
Right.
this is not done right, then the entire thing just crumbles. So if that is the scenario, how safe is it to outsource, and who are these agencies, and how do they work?
Very, very important Question, Madhuri. This is a very complex space as well. Let us acknowledge it. Time is short, and the capacity hired or leased by a training partner is not going to wait for mobilization to be completed, because we have to pay the rental, we have to pay salaries. It's all time bound activities. So we have to find different sources to mobilize candidates into the classroom. And we have a basic unit as a batch of 25 to 30 students in class. Depending on the program, the number may vary. That's the unit. And back to back batches would make this program cost effective.
Mhm.
If there is any gap between two batches, or it takes a lot of time to form a particular batch and start the training, both are detrimental to cost per student. So if an agency is hired for this purpose, that's a response to a problem that they are having at that moment. However, in the long run, I would try to draw analogy of a banking sector, right? uh, the more you have a relationship manager from a bank to talk about your saving needs, your wealth management needs, you are going to stick with that bank for a longer time, and you are deriving value out of the bank. The relationship manager creates the uh, bridge between you and the institution. Similarly, a mobilizer is creating a bridge between a potential candidate who may or may not enroll into the training program now or later, to someone who got benefit out of this training and really speaking high volumes about the quality of training and the placement that they got, is going to be a long term benefit derived by the institution.
Mhm.
So depending on what is the situation that they are in, quick turnaround time vis-a-vis long-term relationship, organization can make that choice. However, I would still recommend to move towards relationship-based mobilization rather than quick fix solutions on mass scale mobilization.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that makes better sense. And also, in terms of sustaining it, in the long run, also would become perhaps easier. So, what is your view about building capacity, in mobilizing? How do we go ahead with that?
Yeah. So this is exactly like a salesperson who is on the field with no contact to a corporate office or head office of the organization. They need daily motivation.
Oh,
It's out of sight is not out of mind. While a center manager can be one point of contact for a mobilizer,
yeah.
trust between these two individuals is going to be very key proposition, because a mobilizer may or may not come to center in the morning. They may directly go to the site. They may
Mm,
go directly to the community, or they may be having some appointments to meet some NGO who promise them to have a gathering of youth. All these are possibilities. The
yeah.
trust levels enjoyed by a center manager, the reporting manager of a mobilizer, and himself or herself is going to be key. The
Mm,
second part is, how do we motivate this mobilizer on a continuous basis and skill build on nuances which are critical for their success. Once they are successful, entire value chain will be successful.
right.
Once they're able to plan in a strategic manner, then we have predictability in operations. So most of the organizations would give an arm and a limb to get predictability in operations, because that this is a time bound commitment, a promise made to funder. March 31st cycle would anyway come, and we promise certain numbers and get raise funds to meet those numbers. So it all starts with a mobilizer and their ability to meet those targets. So motivation level, skill gaps that they may have. For example, they may have a skill gap in converting, right? So as a salesperson needs a coach to convert a lead to a customer, a mobilizer also need a coaching relationship. So all of this is possible in an environment where it is all supportive to a mobilizer. Yelling and telling could be a culture in certain organizations. Typically, I have seen in my own experience of working with various skill development partners, The first strategy is to shout at a mobilizer to say why numbers are not met. Where are you going? Are you really doing your job? These are put off for a mobilizer, and their motivation level really goes down. Supporting them with right tools. If there is any transportation, public transportation not being available in a area, how else we are supporting them? What kind of reimbursement policies we have in the organization? How soon they are going to get the money back which they have spent from their pocket as a reimbursement? All of these are going to be critical aspects. During graduation ceremony, do we celebrate a mobilizer's success? To say, hey, you have brought these youngsters and they are now embarking on a job, and they thank you from their bottom of their heart. So these small things really matter for them.
Yeah, I think they do, the way you have listed it out, because most importantly, celebrating them, of course, like we don't celebrate much in any of these aspects, and
Right.
especially because they are the ones who are connected with the grassroots level, and also like the nitty gritties of what you were saying about really taking care and making them feel that they are cared for is
Yeah.
also absolutely important.
Constant communication about the organization that they work for.
Mhm.
Right? What are the new centers that are coming up? What new courses they are launching? How the organization is growing? Right?
Yeah,
Their umbilical cord is with the headquarters through a center manager. They should know what organization is doing. In our case, every mobilizer would know what Tata STRIVE is doing in the next quarter or next year. We have a town hall. We tell everyone where the organization is heading. We answer questions in the open house forum. Many of them are related to future of the organization. As a mobilizer, they should know where the organization is heading, where the commitment is coming from leadership and beyond, where the trustees are focusing their energy, which of the models are going to be rolled out in the center that they are working, right? What are the concerns of a funder? All of these information should be available with the mobilizer so that they feel connected with the organization. It's
yes,
not just the numbers that they are bringing in, but
yeah,
they are part of a larger system, and there's an organization behind them.
right. Yeah, I think this sense of it creates a sense of belonging also for them, which is to make them feel a part of the larger, enterprise. And along with this, do you think there is something that can be done to bring more attention to the value of this particular job or the value of this particular role, let's say from the policymakers' point of view, or something that the funders can do, or any CSR heads? Do you think any of these people can also, help in reinforcing the importance of mobilizers?
Sure. So if I can ask you to picture a Venn diagram, or a sorry, pie chart.
Hmm.
What is the cost of a student? Cost of training for a student. The major chunk would be infrastructure cost, right? Then followed by salary of the team members, including trainer. Then all the utilities and consumables for practicals and so on. So all of this, if you look at it, mobilizers cost would be very small percentage, right? Um, so there should be some reward and recognition program to ensure that they are continuously motivated. Need not be financial, it could be non-financial as well, because as I told you in the beginning, they have come into this role for a larger cause, not
Yeah.
just for money, right? So money may not be a big motivator beyond a point in time. So R&R, or reward and recognition program for a mobilizer. Second, give them exposure to market. They should be adding value to their curriculum vitae, CV. They
Yes.
should get more skilled in whatever they are doing. Exposure to various symposium, conferences. They get to know what's happening in the system, ecosystem, and so on. And finally, opportunity to meet a senior leadership team, opportunity to interact and have free open conversation with many leaders in the organization. It's going to be a very big motivation for them to keep doing what they're doing. There are instances in our organization in Tata Strive where a mobilizer have become a center manager. The
Okay.
vertical growth and mobility is possible, and they just need to work on their skill sets required for that particular job role. When IJP, internal job posting, happens through HR, they apply and they face the interview panel. They get unanimously selected in these instances. So we also have seen women mobilizers joining more these days.
Mm.
We have a few of them in Tata STRIVE. We cherish them. They are the what do you say, uh, role models who break the stereotype of a mobilizer. And when a women mobilizer goes into community and interact with parents, the confidence with which enrollment of women students happen is really different.
Yeah. Could
Right,
be
they're able to connect, empathize, and convince the parents to send their women wards to take up even unconventional programs. As a mobilizer, they struggle on few things. May I articulate that?
yeah.
The aspiration level of any youth to take up a short-term skill program is not there yet.
Right.
Either they need a push or they need more convincing. They have to come to center to see it's a very different place, not like my school.
Mm.
Because many a times they want instant job offer, uh, or they are willing to do a part-time course, not a full-time course.
Mm.
So these are simple challenges, and women candidates need a very simple training program which would allow them to be a white collar uh, worker, rather than anyone in a manufacturing or a hard skill like welding, plumbing, electrician, those kind of jobs.
Yeah.
So the stereotyping is very difficult for a mobilizer to break into. We give them tools like videos of women learners who have successfully completed and working elsewhere, their testimonials on a tab. And when they go into community, they show these videos and build confidence. Once they come to center, the remaining part of the conversion happens as a team. A center manager, counselor, a trainer, all of them support a mobilizer in the conversion. So it's a team effort at the end of the day.
Yeah. And also, like you were giving me the analogy of a salesperson, I would just like to connect this with what the digital disruption has done to many aspects of skilling, including mobilization. So, what do you see as the future? Perhaps this would be my last question to
Sure.
understand the entire picture. So, how do you foresee this digital disruption influencing the mobilizing process, and what would be the impact in future? And how should training partners prepare for it?
Right. So I still remember when the pandemic opened up last year in the month of March, we were really struggling to safeguard our current students and ensure alumni migrating back to their homes are fine. Only
Mm.
by June, July, we got a better understanding of how to switch everyone to online learning. And Mobilizer's role became very critical to get students enrolled for such programs.
Mm.
So a blended learning course had requirements. There should be a device at the end of the day. They have to log in through a mobile. They may not have a laptop at their disposal. Second, they need to have a digital connectivity, like data bandwidth, to keep their video on and also participate in various activities, assignments, group learning process, and so on. And third, very important part, which is not apparent earlier on, was discipline.
Mm.
How disciplined they are in completing their homework or assignments given to them, how disciplined they are in completing asynchronous, as we call it. Asynchronous is not FaceTime with a trainer, but they have to complete studying some material before coming to class, or complete assignments and submit project work after completing the online class. So this asynchronous part, how disciplined they are, we were not able to gauge it. Mobilizers were the ones who really helped us here. Again, setting expectations on how many hours of instruction time they need to commit, how many hours of non-instruction time that they need to complete this course requirement. Mobilizers were the ones who helped us. So we had a 3D formula: device, data, and discipline. So every mobilizer was told, check on all count. They were given a checklist. Even for a device, they were given a checklist of what is a mobile model number, uh, is it a Android version of so and so. Anything older than that, say, tell them our LMS will not work. So all of this, they did it. And I still remember one question which came in very resoundingly: sir, by this, are we eliminating those who deserve this program, and only enrolling people who have device?
Oh,
So this is the empathy of a mobilizer. Believe me, I don't think anyone else in the organization would have thought about it, of keeping it inclusive. So I sadly admitted to that reality. I said, yeah, for the time being, let's work on the fringes. As in Chanakya, in his story, he would say, right? Don't attack the enemy right in the center where the enemy is really strong. uh, Start working around the fringes, and then you can capture the kingdom. This he got it from a poor neighborhood where a mother would tell this secret to her children, saying, don't be like that fool Chanakya, keep on attacking enemy in the stronghold, start having food at the periphery where it is less hot. So
okay.
similarly, a mobilizer deployed this strategy. We were very successful. Q3 and Q4, we got very good results. And I
Okay.
hear the same from other organizations as well. This is the success of organization hinging upon few roles, including that of a mobilizer.
Okay.
When you have a strong mobilizer team, you have a very strong operations, which could become predictable, which could make a funder happy so that they can stay invested over a longer period of time. We were talking about digital savviness of a mobilizer.
Mhm.
We have uh, a tool called Google Map for mobilizers.
Okay.
What we do is we collect pin code of all the potential candidates who
Mhm.
are interested in joining us, and those who have joined us, completed the program, those who dropped out of the program. We color code them separately, use this tool to see on a Google map in this district where all people have inquired about Tata STRIVE courses, and how many of them have enrolled, how many of them are still continuing on the job even after 1 year, how many of them have dropped out midway. So this map with lot of pins, different colored pins, you would find as a standard feature in many of our centers. This
Mhm.
guides a mobilizer to say, tomorrow, which community I need to go and focus,
Okay.
where the conversion is more, where word of mouth I can get positive stories, where the conversion is very poor, how much more hard work I need to put in to get that conversion. So this strategy is possible because of this one tool. After pandemic, we started collecting information through a Google form. Now it has become a very successful initiative. A mobilizer designs a simple Google form, sends it out on a WhatsApp, and it cascades from one youth to another. Whoever is interested, they would fill in their name, mobile number, and convenient time for us to call them. And with that information, either the mobilizer or the call center, we make contact and try to help those youth in finding fitment to any of the courses that we run. Third, very important digital initiative is a strategy document on a Google Drive. This document is available for head of operations to regional lead to a center manager to that of everyone in the center and a mobilizer.
Mhm.
It has all information required for 50 kilometers around the center. Which are the hot pockets? Who are the NGOs whom we are in touch with for sending references? Uh, what kind of influencers we have in our community? Panchayat, board head, or a village head, or any government agency, officer. All the influencers' phone number, email IDs are there, a part of the strategy document. So the knowledge that a mobilizer has gained is becoming institutional knowledge, not necessarily residing in their head. So this is how we do knowledge management, and mobilizers are key to this entire effort. After getting all this information, now we are much more informed on coming together to solve this problem of community mobilization. The last one is Mobilizer Mela. We collect mobilizers across the country. We have about 200 plus centers, our own centers and partner centers. Mobilizers of all centers would meet every quarter to discuss on few key aspects which are important for that quarter. Training happens during that time. Guest speakers are invited to interact with them. This becomes a celebration, and we also acknowledge few good instances, good practices that had happened. For example, in Uttarakhand, in a hilly area, how mobilization is so different from that of, say, Vishakhapatnam, which is a plain, or a Bangalore, which is a metro. All of these are discussed in this forum, and we give tools and techniques for them to try it out. And there's a WhatsApp group where every day they start reporting on what part of capacity of that center is fulfilled on that day. So this gives them a direction. This gives them a sense of accomplishment at the end of the day. And many of them take pride in saying, I have fulfilled the batch requirement even before the start date of the batch. So this is how they contribute to the cost optimization of a organization. This is a unique way of approaching Mobiliser as a central linchpin of this entire value chain, Madhuri.
Yeah. And also the tools you mentioned are all very simple tools, and it's amazing to see how you have put them all in a process to make it very efficient. And also, I think the outcomes, as you said, are really remarkable.
and uh, and we
Yeah.
are coming up with the training of mobilizers, and we are going to work with NSDC on this. Any skill development partner, they have mobilizers, any number, uh, starting from one to many, they could send them to such open programs, and we ensure that they are skilled to the process of mobilization, and they can add a layer of organizational policies and processes of their own respective organization and make them an asset for their own company.
Right. And I think the course is definitely going to help, as we just, I just heard you talking about the multi skilled nature of this role. Maybe right from being a storyteller to an influencer to a digital savvy professional, there are so many angles to it. I'm sure the course is definitely going to help a lot of people to take up this role, and also the training organizations. So, with this, we come to the closure of this conversation with you, Bhaskar. It was
Thank
really
you.
amazing to learn so much from you about mobilizing. Let's continue our talks, and we will come up with another topic in the next episode of this. Thanks a lot. We'll
Thank
be
you so much. Bye
Thank you.
bye.
Bye.